All right, welcome, guys. Thanks. We'll just dive right in. Let's go ahead and talk about what seems to be a regular occurrence here in sectional football here, North Milan championship game. I don't know if it's fate would have it, but you're back at Milan where you were at last year. So let's just hit on that a little bit and talk about preparations and where you're at mentally.
Well, I think first of all, it's a new year. There's a long tradition, and we can talk about that. We can talk about the history, but it has been a reoccurring theme. But you know, the history in the past isn't going to help us or hurt us. We're going to have to put ourselves in a position to go play this game. I think a lot of people have talked about Week 3. You and I talked off air about. We used to play in Week 5, and I thought that was kind of the sweet spot where you had a good idea where you were and what you had, and they did as well. Now, rejoining the conference there in Week 3, I think the teams are dramatically different now compared to Week 3. So it's a new game. You know, the things about winning and losing this game, the same variables exist. The things that are going to help you win will still help you win. Things that will lose the game, like penalties and turnovers, you know, those things still exist. So looking forward to it, proud of these guys, and I feel good about where we are.
Yeah, looking at record-wise here, you guys coming in at 9-2, Milan at 5-4, and like you said, it's really a difference of the tale of two seasons, where you guys have been trending up a little bit each game, clearly getting better, getting stronger, getting faster, and it just seems like Milan maybe isn't the typical Milan that we're used to seeing, but you know what you're getting with Milan.
Well, they've had some injuries. We've remained pretty healthy. They have gone through some injuries, and some same guys are on the field. They're at new places now. It's changed a little bit, the style they play. I do agree that we're trending up. I thought Week 6 paid dividends for us when we went to Linton. I think Week 9 is going to pay dividends for us, already has. You know, we found ourselves last week in a game with Knightstown who, you know, you were a little unfamiliar. I mean, you can look at somebody on film, but you don't know until you get there what you're getting into. And they were super aggressive, maybe recklessly aggressive. But Week 6 and Week 9 kind of prepared us for how in your face, you know, people can be and how physical it can be. And I thought our guys stayed in the fight and found a way to persevere.
Yeah, and I've talked to other coaches, and you bring up a good point. It's kind of hard. The way the schedules are, they're not, you know, traditionally if we go back years ago, you played majority of your conference. You knew what to expect. You exchanged VHS tapes and that kind of thing. Well, now schedules, you know, conferences aren't as big as they used to be for the most part. And so it's kind of harder to just jump on YouTube and say, oh, well, Knightstown played this team when sometimes it's apples to oranges.
It is, and it's adolescent boys too. You know, you're going to have some down games, and you don't know the backstory to a lot of games. I think the average fan looks at the scores and you jump to conclusions. But I will tell you that I told our guys, Knightstown was better than what people thought they were. The thing about them that jumped out at me is I think they had 26 junior seniors out of their 38 players, and those guys have been coming for a long time, and the town, the community is excited about them. We weren't playing against freshmen, sophomores, so that was part of the challenge as well. And then how do you put value on confidence, because they were full of it, and we were in a fight to get it out of them, and eventually we did. But that first part of that game was back and forth, and I think you're just sort of chipping away and you're developing a little bit of a history and getting an understanding of what their plan is and how they're going to handle some different things that we do, all while handling a quarterback who at one time in the game threw the ball 29 times in a row. I don't know that I've ever experienced it. 42 times for the game, 29 times in a row.
Yeah, and that's kind of unheard of in high school football.
Absolutely.
Well, in Indiana high school football. I mean, Texas is another story, but
Yep.
Indiana, I mean, you don't see a pass game 10 in a row, much less 29.
Correct.
So hard to prepare for, absolutely. You know, I'm not going to go through stats because it was so long ago, and like I said, it's a tale of two different seasons. But one stat I will go over is kick return yards against Milan.
Yeah.
You guys did have 124 yards. And that's going to lead me to my next question over here for senior Corbin Thackeray. course, we know what happened the last time you played Milan, right?
Yeah.
How are you keeping your emotions in check since the the last game you had the big return to win the game? How are you controlling those emotions this week?
Just another game. Just gotta keep playing how we play as a team and trust that we'll win the game in the end.
Do you find, as a senior, that players are having a harder time keeping those emotions in check, knowing it's Milan and not a Knightstown, or is it just even kill like normal?
No, I think we've all been there, and I feel like we're ready for what they have to throw at us, and I think we just look ahead and see that it's Milan, and we've had a past against them, and I think everybody's pushed that aside, and it's this year and what's in front of us now.
New chapter, new book, right?
Yep.
We'll go to Senior Hunter Meister. I was at that game last year, ups and downs at Milan last year. What's your takeaways being a senior going through that last year coming in? How's that helped you to better prepare this year?
I'm not going to beat around the bush. Last year sucked. That was an awful way to end the season, and I think, especially for me, but I know the other two sitting next to me and the rest of our seniors, they put a chip on our shoulder. We wanted to go out there and especially going into the off-season, it made us work a little bit harder, not necessarily because we wanted to beat them, but because we didn't want to lose in the way that we lost again. So I think that kind of pushed us a little bit harder.
Yeah, and emotions were high that game. There was a little incident on the sideline. I still, to this day, don't even know, not that it matters. They got penalized, I want to say it was fourth quarter, somewhere around that 4-minute mark for a crackback block, and things were going the right way, or trending the right way, but there's a lot of high emotions. We'll go to sophomore Charlie Palmer. How you handling it now that you have your freshman season last year's under your belt? So now you're on your way to being a veteran on this team with your snap count and everything. So how you keeping emotions in check heading into this game?
Well, you kind of can't dwell on the past at all. We got a new game this week, so one game every week. Try to go 1-0. Just approach every game the same, and always just keep working towards the next goal.
So I know I've asked this question before, but now it's win or go home, right? And so how are you? We'll go back over here to senior Corbin Thackeray. How is your leadership? What is your leadership role going into? Because it is another game, new game, right? Everybody's 0-0 going in the sectional and everything, but emotions do run higher, right? You're a sectional championship game. How are you using your leadership to just keep everybody to not get so hyped up so fast?
I think we as a team, I think we're really good at keeping our composure and sticking with what we know and what we need to get done. And I think we have a big sophomore class that's coming up, and I think to bring them alongside us and tell them it's not. It could be over any second. I mean, I learned that from my sophomore and junior year that injuries can take you out pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I think to tell them that it could be your last snap any second of any game is very high on everybody's radar on our team, and I think they know that, and I think that's what's keeping us going on.
Yeah, that's well said.
I think tradition's part of it too. These guys were Hunter and Corbin were freshmen in 22, and they got on the train, and those guys took them on a journey, but taught them an awful lot along the way of what this is how it's supposed to look. This is how the locker room is supposed to be. This is what it's like to go to a semi-state, and I think that stayed with these guys. And we talk all the time about it. We've been in big games before, and this certainly is a big game. But when you try to treat it different, like it's bigger than it is, it ends up hurting you. And we do have experience to lean on. Yep, last year sectional finals didn't go our way. Sometimes that's not all bad. Sometimes you need that taste of defeat. I said the same thing after week 9. There's no such thing as a good loss, but it was a nice little reminder of what this feels like when things don't go your way, or someone is more physical than you are before we went into the tournament. And again, I think that's the history we've got to lean on. You got to win Wednesday, then you got to win Thursday long before you ever get to Friday. You can't worry about winning just on Fridays. And I think these guys, I said early in the year, very workmanlike, very blue-collar-like. This is what we do on Wednesday, and this is what we're going to do on Thursday. and they've done a nice job being focused on that.
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly who it was. I want to say it was Harper maybe. And again, it's baseball, but it's still the same concept. It was after a World Series, and the press conference, they'd ask him, "Why'd you stay?" And his answer was, "So I know. I want this feeling to last, so that I'm prepared and I'm motivated for next year." So using that to your advantage is good in a way, but I guess it could hurt you too if you get too
emotional.
Too vigilant, yeah.
This game won't be won on emotions, and we've talked about that. And obviously emotions are going to be there. That naturally happens, but there's a lot more to be said about who can keep their poise in the storm, right? Who can be calm in the chaos, and focusing on our details and focusing on our process keeps us directed. It keeps us level. We certainly want to win the game, but people who talk about getting up for a big game, you're not a competitor. A competitor gets up for every game. The next game is the biggest game you've got. And, we've talked about it. We didn't originate it, but we want to be 1-0 this week. We want to be 1-0 every week. And people say, so-and-so this team or that team. Well, Milan's the best team we play this week, and that's been true for the last 12 weeks.
Yeah. Senior Hunter Meister, we'll go to you. And again, this is kind of a repeat, but leadership roles changed. Right, you're a senior. How do you get everybody to understand it's next step, next snap, next play? What are you doing as a leader to keep them motivated to let it go and let's go next play?
I'm going to kind of feed off what Corbin said. I mean, I think as a team we kind of keep our composure. Going into every game, or at least this is the mindset I have, it's just another game. It's just the next step on getting to where we want to go. You can't make it bigger than what it is. Sure, it's a big game, but you can't feed off that. But when something bad happens, they all know, and I'm sure a couple of us are out there saying it, you got to keep your head up and you just got to move on, because you can't let that play determine the next. You can't let it snowball.
Yep. Sophomore Charlie Palmer, same question for you. What are you doing to help that O-line every time to next play, next snap, keep them motivated?
Sometimes not everything goes the way you need it to, so you kind of just got to figure out what happened. Talk through problems. If a defense shows something exotic that you haven't really seen before, talk through it, figure out what's going on, and then try to get us into the best play possible. And if we're in a good play, try to execute it to the best of our ability.
All right, Hunter Meister, back to you. I notice you're carrying a cup. You want to explain to those who are listening and can't see, and then you can explain to the ones watching on YouTube. What's the exciting news tonight?
So the exciting news tonight, the ones watching on YouTube, I got pineapple today. It is Snow Cone Wednesday. Pineapple's new flavor.
How long have we done Snow Cone Wednesday?
Forever. I mean, since I came in.
This is year 11.
This is year 11, but this is probably the best year because we have a snow cone maker now. So we're getting new flavors too.
I think that's what makes it just exciting, that you guys get so excited.
Yeah.
All the fans and all the parents, everybody's like, Milan at Milan, oh. And then you guys are like, snow cone, baby. We got snow cones.
It ain't crushed ice this year.
Yeah.
It's the small things.
It's the real deal?
It's a real machine.
It's a real machine, and it's
okay.
Flavor pumps and everything.
Yep. Like 11 flavors now. I think we got some new in.
Yeah.
So excited.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Though, it's nice to see that you guys are staying loose and staying cohesive, build that camaraderie along the way too, because that's super important. Palmer, what'd you bring? What flavor's that one?
I got watermelon and sour apple.
Okay.
I already ate mine, but I got pineapple as well.
He told me on the way, Chuck said he was trying to make a Sour Patch Kid.
It tastes like
I
one
can
of those
or cannot
watermelons.
confirm.
It's like one of them watermelon Sour Patch Kids.
Okay. Did I hear potentially Milkshake Mondays or something too?
Oh,
Yeah, that's Dairy Point. If we win, what is it, every trophy game?
Every trophy game, starting this week, if we win, the following Monday is Milkshake Monday.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yep, I can't wait. I'm probably going to get strawberry.
Straw. Okay. Well, sounds like I need to join Milkshake Monday.
Yeah, pretty nice.
Yeah. What do you got? Charlie, we'll stay with you over there. Just some takeaways, kind of like a final take here as we start to wind down the next 4 or 5 minutes. What's some takeaways of this year for you? Like some things that have excited you, some things, obviously you're going to say the next game, but what's some things that you've been really excited about this year?
I'd have to say it's how much we've grown throughout the year. You know, at the start of the year, we had a lot of new guys, new positions. We only had one returning offensive lineman and a whole new quarterback, new skill position, a lot of new skill position guys, new tight ends. So it was a lot of new this year. So at the start of the year, everyone was kind of figuring out their spot, and through the year, everyone's kind of found their rhythm. I feel like we've grown exponentially this year.
Whoa, look at that.
Yeah,
Big words.
proud of you.
That's one of those calendar words of the day right there,
Yeah.
baby.
I know my vocab pretty good.
That's good. Good job.
All right. Senior Corbin Thackeray, what's some takeaways? What's some things that excited you this year, just some as a senior soaking it all in?
I love seeing the upperclassmen come up and work and look up to you and ask you questions, and you can tell that they want to learn and they want to do good in the future, and I like seeing that. And just our senior group is we're all friendly, and everybody in the locker room's family, and I think it starts in the locker room, and that was a tradition. I mean, 2022 everybody was together, and it was all one big family, and this year it's awesome. I love it.
Hunter Meister, senior, what's some exciting things, key takeaways for you this year?
Well, I'll give you two. One, Snow Cone Wednesday. Never lets me down. It's always there for me. And then, on a serious note, though, the brotherhood that we built in the locker room this year, that was one of my big goals coming into this year. 22 was a good example of it. Just like Corbin said, you know, now we're all family. And in 22, we were truly all family. Everyone would do anything for anybody if you truly needed it. And I feel like as years went on, we kind of got away from that, and the team became individualized. So where I stand right now, that brotherhood has been rebuilt, and I'm proud to say that I'm a part of this team.
So, Hunter Meister, we'll stay with you. You're a senior, obviously. What's your legacy? What do you want? And I've asked this numerous times, but it's good to hit it. How do you want to be remembered when your time's done at North with football? How do you want to be remembered? What's your legacy you want everybody to carry on?
I want people to look at what I've done over my 4 years and know that if you truly work hard enough at something, that you can do it, because it starts from the bottom and you got to work your way up. Obviously, you know, I didn't start all 4 years, and I wasn't near as good as what I am now, but with hard work and truly being dedicated to something, you can do it.
Corbin Thackeray, senior. I know I asked you this last time, or a few shows ago. You've been on here quite a bit.
Yeah.
How do you want to be remembered, like legacy-wise? When people think of Corbin Thackeray, what do you want them to think of?
You know, probably the funny guy in the locker room. I like my freshman year. We didn't really have a locker room, but we had a trailer we climbed in every day.
Yeah.
And all the upperclassmen got to go to a nice air conditioning or heater of a trailer, and it was pretty nice over there. And I just remember the senior class bringing along the freshmen and the sophomores and all of us, you know, getting together and everything. And I feel like I'm trying to do that with all of our younger classmen and get them involved. And I just want to leave that behind because I feel like they left that behind for us.
Okay. All right, Coach, winding down your segment. I know you guys are
What? I'm not a senior.
Sorry.
Well,
Sorry, I
I
think
would
Charlie's
I would go ahead and a couple things. I thought we entered the year with an awful lot of unproven players. It wasn't that they weren't good or weren't going to be good. They were just simply unproven. As the years gone along, they've become more and more proven. They've become a good team. They like each other. They enjoy each other, and that cannot be overstated. In 22, and it sounds odd when an adolescent says it about each other, but those kids played for each other. They loved each other. They enjoyed each other, and when that season came to an end, they were most disappointed about we'll never play together again. And I think these guys had an opportunity to see that, and it impacted them. You know, not unlike a business or a team when things are going really well. Sometimes you forget the things that got you there, and I think we got away, not intentionally, but the last couple of years maybe the locker room, the camaraderie, the brotherhood. It hasn't been as strong as it was in 22. And I'm really proud of these guys because their legacy is as they leave, they left a really healthy locker room. What that next group does with it is up to them. I think Charlie, having been in the middle of it, been a big part of it, it's likely that's going to continue. But you never know. That means a lot to a program because these are the guys you practice with, you play with, and you play for. So when the locker room's healthy, a lot of good things can happen. Obviously, you have to have talent along the way and all the other stuff. But in my mind, it's the blue-collar approach that these guys have taken, and it's the locker room chemistry that they've left behind that I'm most proud of.
Any other final thoughts, Coach, for your final take?
No, I think Friday is a big game. It's not the biggest game we've ever played. It's the next game that we play, and we're going to approach it that way. We have prepared the same way we do every week. You know, it might be a little unique based on this opponent, that opponent. Not a lot of secrets this week. They know us, we know them, and one of the messages to our players is going to be that this Friday is not about plays. It's not about the play call because players are going to win this game. It's the individuals that are going to determine the outcome of this game, and we need to make sure that we're prepared to do our part and go get what we want. There's a lot of people in the world who they want things and they talk about all the stuff they want. There's a select few people that are willing to work to get what they want, and these guys have worked, and they certainly have put themselves in a position to get what they want.
Well said, Coach. Sophomore Charlie Palmer, senior Corbin Thackeray, senior Hunter Meister, head coach Steve Stern, thank you for joining me again this week in overtime. Again, that is North Decatur at Milan, 7 o'clock on Friday. Show up, show out. Should be a really good game. We're going to pause for a little break here, and we're going to have Greensburg football. I'm your host, Nick Messer, and this is Overtime. Welcome back to Overtime. I'm your host, Nick Messer, joined in studio here with Greensburg football head coach Isaac Sliger. Welcome, Coach.
Hey, how's it going?
Joined by Ashton Winchester Jr., Logan Ortman Jr., Austin Adams, the lone senior tonight, and Ethan Bishop Jr. Welcome, guys.
Welcome. Thank you.
Coach coming in here 3 in a row for the last 5. Going to have Lawrenceburg at home, 7 o'clock Friday. Kind of really the same situation, as North. Tell of 2 different programs. You guys are trending up, and they just pretty much stayed the same pretty much all year for the most part. Just some positives, key takeaways you want to start with?
Yeah, I think, again, when you kind of look at them year after year, obviously, they play EC, week 1 out the gate, and then they kind of get everything under their belt early and kind of start acclimating as the year progresses. For us, I feel like we're a completely different team, completely different program from where we were 8 weeks ago. And obviously, every time we've been on here, I've continued to say that week in, week out, but, we've been able to win 4 of our last 5. We've been able to win 3 in a row, and I think we've seen that day after day now, what that actually is supposed to look like. And obviously I think we've seen a group of guys that have continued to buy in, do a great job, not only from a practice standpoint, but also a leadership standpoint, and just starting to nip some things that, in the past had maybe been allowed to happen or prolong a little bit more, but it's now one of those things where we've gotten a little bit of a taste of what that needs to be, and obviously we've taken advantage and found a way several times now over the last several weeks.
Yeah, if we go from preview show or whatever to now, the rate that this program has turned around is really remarkable. The buy-in, the pride, the community buying in, the players buying in, really tells a lot about a program and where you guys are at in terms of 4 of the last 5. Even in, and I keep saying it every time everybody looks at stats and the box scores, and I know you guys see it differently because you judge it on we're getting better here, we're getting better on pass rush, we're getting better on whatever. So if we look at Lawrenceburg 9-1, you guys coming in at 4-7. Of course, you're the hot team, honestly, and the hottest team's usually dangerous. That's always my take on that. Last game, Lawrenceburg had 134 yards passing, 220 rushing. You guys had 8 passing and 96 rushing. And the reason I even bring that up is because when we talk about getting better, you guys have had 3 games in a row with 200-plus rushing yards. Your last 3 games, you've went over the 200 mark. And you went over that 200 mark 5 times this year. So that growth is exponential.
Well, and I think it goes back to, again, being able to play complementary football on both sides. Defensively last week we had 5 turnovers. We had 4 picks. We had a fumble strip that we ended up taking to the house as well off of that. And we put ourselves in good positions to be able to go score effectively offensively. And obviously 5 turnovers don't happen every week, unfortunately. But it's still one of those things when you look back over the last, 5-6 weeks, we played complementary football for the first time. Earlier on in the year, you saw us in moments where we would do it for 2 or 3 quarters, but we've now found ways to close games out when it's been a little wonky at times or been a little bit difficult that I think these guys would agree early in the year. We didn't know how to finish. We didn't know how to win those games and pull out of hard moments when we were kind of stuck in the mud.
Yeah, and that was a conversation that we'd had on here. You win 1 or quarter and a half, but how do you win the other 3 quarters?
And all that goes back to the experience piece. You can't rep every scenario week in, week out of what it takes to go through the mud. But like what we've talked all year, we're going to keep swinging away. And I feel like we've done a really good job of that. I felt like we bought in as a program to that mantra a little bit. Even going back to Friday night, we end up going up 10-0. They end up making a play right before the half on us, and they come out the second half. They go down, score on us. It's 14-10. We've been in that situation now several times over the last several weeks. How do you respond? I would say probably you look back to the first few weeks of the year, we probably would have hung around until mid-third and then, found ways to possibly slip up. But we've now had experience with it. We've now found ways to win. Like what you said, I do agree. We're kind of a dangerous team right now just because we've been able to find some ways to kind of click a little bit both offensively and defensively.
And the good thing, playoffs, it's a new game. It's 0-0, guys. every game it's win or go home, so everybody has the same record every week, and clearly you're the hot team, and you're proving that you guys are hungry. Just keep riding the momentum. I'm going to shift over here to senior Austin Adams.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Let's talk about leadership. How do you see, or how have you noticed your leadership role changing as this year has progressed?
I think earlier in the year we didn't have much coming into the season, and as I've seen the season go on and later, and I feel like our seniors have really stepped up. A couple of our juniors and stuff, the guys sitting beside me, I feel like it's just a different team now because of our leadership and how we've stepped up.
Ashton Winchester Jr., same question for you. How's your role, your leadership role, changed as this momentum has shifted?
The past couple years haven't been too good, and started off this year not too hot, and I just realized, like, we got to switch up. Had to start leading. We changed it around. A lot of people have switched their roles and really came into the team and bought into it.
Logan Ortman Jr., what about you? How's your role changed this year in terms of leadership?
I think it's just trying to be more vocal and then, like, talking to the younger guys and just everybody else on the team, trying to get them on the same page, and that, like, there's not specific leaders. Everybody just needs to be leading everybody on the team.
Ethan Bishop Jr.?
Yeah.
How's your leadership role changed this year?
I feel like I'm not the most vocal guy on the team, so I wanted, especially the underclassmen, to know that just do what I do and just follow after me.
Yeah. How do you let's go back to senior Austin Adams. How do you get everybody? How do you keep them motivated to next play, new play? Every play's a new play. Let it go. How are you keeping everybody motivated?
So I just tell them to keep their heads up. I mean, you can't win every rep. I mean, you can't be perfect. It's impossible. But what you can do is you can strive to be that. And, I mean, every play is a new play, like you said. So you just start from scratch and you just keep going.
Ashton, what about you? What do you do to keep everybody motivated to just – because we go back to, like Coach and I talked about, you go back to earlier in the year where you weren't finishing complete games, honestly, and now you guys are putting it together and winning and then stringing wins together. So how do you keep everybody motivated, new play, next rep?
I feel like practice has changed a lot, too, in terms of focus-wise. Every rep has been trying to, like, our scout team has been trying to get us better. Everybody's, like, focused on getting better. I think once we won our first game, everybody realized what it's like to win and the standards, and everybody's kept up with it and been going and keeping each other better.
Logan Ortman, do you see the intensity picking up in practices?
Yeah, I think our scout team has done a great job of trying to get us prepared and so that we're, ready for it in the game and not getting, like, too hot and trying to start stuff with the other team.
Ethan, what about you? How do you see practices? How have they changed? How is your preparation?
I mean, yeah, there's obviously a lot more intensity. We got some varsity guys who aren't hopping in on scout team to give us a better looks and just preparing us for Friday.
Yeah. Let's switch gears and ask a couple of the fun questions that everybody always likes. So we'll start over here with Ashton Winchester. What's your pregame meal, Ashton?
I go to Walmart, get popcorn chicken from the hot section.
That's it? Just one popcorn chicken?
Oh, yeah, and I get a drink, Gatorade.
Okay.
Fruit punch.
Every game?
Not every game.
The last 3 games?
Yeah.
Okay, keep doing that.
Lately, yeah, it's working.
Logan, what about you? What's your pregame meal?
Kind of switch it up every week, but here recently just been going to Subway and getting a meatball sub.
Austin, what's your pregame? What's your pregame meal?
It kind of differs, but these past couple weeks I've been going to Jersey Mike's, and I get a Philly cheesesteak.
Ethan, what's your pregame meal?
I mean, me and Ortman, we're usually together, so either like Subway, Jimmy John's, Jersey Mike's, somewhere with the sub.
We'll stay with you, Ethan. Are you superstitious? Is there anything that you have to do on game day?
Not really superstitious, but I pray before every game.
Austin, what about you? Is there anything that you have to do every game? Any superstitions or rituals or?
I like to listen to a certain song before a game. Rooster by Alice in the Chains.
Okay.
I like that song.
Yeah, that's a good one. Logan Orman, what about you?
Kind of like what Bishop said. I don't have any like superstitions or anything, but yeah, I just like to pray and get my mind right before every game.
Ashton, any superstitions? You got to put your left shoe on first every time.
These past 3 games, I got a new girdle, so I think we're gonna stick with this girdle.
You get a new one every game?
Nope,
Just it's
randomly got a
the
new
magic
one,
of the
and then-
girdle.
yeah, so we're gonna keep this girdle.
Please tell me that's going to be on a T-shirt somewhere.
Might be.
You get a girdle contract now. NIL. What are you listening to? We'll switch back over. Ethan, what do you listen to? What's your pregame music choice?
A lot of Christian music, Christian or country music.
Anybody in particular?
No.
No?
Varies.
Austin Adams, other
Uh,
than Alice in Chains, is it every game you listen to the same Alice in Chains song?
Yeah. I just listen to rock and roll a lot. So.
Logan Ortman?
Always forget to charge my AirPods, so most of the time it's just whatever Coach Jackson's playing on the speakers in the locker room.
God help you on that one. Ashton?
I'm the same. I lost my AirPods week 3, so I listen.
So
to
it's
whatever's
all
on the
what Coach
speaker.
Jackson has?
Yeah.
Okay. Coach, back to you. How, going into sectional championship game, I don't want to say starting out where you guys were at heightens the emotions, but we know it does.
Yeah.
The fact they haven't been there in a long time. How are you keeping these guys in check emotionally?
Well, I think it's one of those things that throughout the year, really, it's just owning the emotions itself. And I think that's one of the things that I think all of our kids would agree with, that for the longest time, I don't think we necessarily always knew how to control our emotions. We're a very emotional group, which is great, until it backfires and becomes that double-edged sword, right? When moments, we phrase to these guys, you can't ride the roller coaster. You can't ride the highs too high, the lows too low. You got to study everything out
Right.
as a gradual. But it's one of those things that, I think just understanding the magnitude behind what's at stake. These guys, again, would attest when we first started with everything, one of the first things that I stood up there and said was we were going to get this program to a point where we're competing for conference championships and sectional championships and beyond. Obviously in that moment, I think for these guys, they understood to a degree what that meant, but until you go through that and fully understand it, you don't. And I think, again, just constantly reminding that throughout the week and the last few weeks of, number one, it's win and go home. Survive and advance, and understanding the magnitude behind the fact that as a program we've won one sectional championship in 2013. The last time we played for a sectional championship was in 2019. What we've done over the course of the last even year in comparison to where we'd been the last 3 beyond is a testament to what we've done over the last 10 plus months. Again, not where we need to be perfectly. Obviously we kind of joke around a little bit, and you wish that once you figure it out, you could go back and redo a few of those, because
Sure.
I firmly believe that a few of those would come out a little bit differently. But that's part of the process. But understanding the magnitude of what this is, from a legacy standpoint, from a senior standpoint, we've talked now for several weeks. You never know when your last home game is. We've been blessed beyond measure that we've had 9 home games this year out of
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
That's unheard
back
of.
home for this one.
And exactly. So, there's that piece, but even more so, what legacy do you want to leave behind? When you're all said and done, the senior group's going to be able to look back and say, regardless of what happens on Friday night, we've changed a program that's won 1 game in 2 years into a team that's competing for a sectional championship. And then passing on from that, when you've got all the kids that look up to these guys that want to be future Pirates, that now understand what that expectation needs to be, and these guys that are juniors that are now going to take over for the next year afterwards, how do you want to go raise the bar another level? I think that's one piece that, it's easy to say. to be able to sit back and understand the magnitude behind it, I think is kind of in the moment more so. But more than anything, it's just, kind of continuing to roll with, understand the situation. I do believe in representing that magnitude behind it. It is a special moment. It's hard to win sectional games. It's hard to go compete for a sectional championship. We're one of 16 teams in 3A that's remaining. That's special, especially with where we've come from. So we've got to understand that, play with the emotions, but just keep it in check. I do feel like we've done a better job of that over the last few weeks, and especially from where we had been prior to that. But embrace it. We're going to go swing, and let's go see what we can do.
Yeah, and regardless of an outcome, the standard's been set, right? That precedent, you guys have set the bar for the future of your program quickly, too. And you got the community talking, you got the community buzzing, you got here on overtime, we've had you guys in here several times, and you can just see the emotion and the pride that's been restored into a football program. So that in itself, you guys should take as a success, and moving forward and reflecting on things. Austin Adams, senior. How do you want to be remembered? What do you want your legacy to be when this is all done and you guys are playing in regional or wherever you go? What do you want your legacy to be? How do you want to be remembered at Greensburg for your football career?
I just want to be remembered as a hard worker and a person that you can learn off of. And that's just one thing that I've always wanted to be ever since I was playing kindergarten football. So,
Ashton Winchester, you're a junior, but what are you striding to be? What mark are you wanting to set as you progress through your football career?
Next year I'm gonna be a senior. Last year, and I want everybody to see me as how I look up to the seniors now. I want people to look at me like that. Like those seniors that we have now, they took me under their wing ever since I was a freshman. They showed me how to play football. They showed me how to lead. They showed me how to have fun at times, lock in at times, and that's how I want to be remembered.
Logan Orman, same question for you. As you progress through your season here this year and beyond, what are you striding to be?
Just someone who everybody in the locker room with me can see as somebody outside of football and in the locker room, somebody to have fun with and be friends with, but then once we're out on that field, time to lock in and, focus up and get the job done.
Ethan Bishop, what are you striding for?
Yeah, I want to be known as a hard worker and someone who goes out there and gives it his all on Friday nights.
Players, as we're winding down here, I always like to, we do a portion called the final take where I let you say whatever you need to say, thank you wherever you need to thank. So we'll start down here with Ashton Winchester and give you your final take.
I feel like in terms of community of Greensburg, we've changed so much. Our school, our parents, these past couple weeks they made us goodie bags. They wrote on our cars. They're just showing so much more appreciation to the football team. Our school, our social media, everybody's been posting. Our coaches, they come out every day. They let us work. I just feel like as a community, we're growing as a whole community, and everybody's bought into it this year.
Logan Orban, final take.
I just want to thank all my family that was able to help me start my football journey, and before I got my license, take me to practices and get me there when I need to be so I can work. And then thank the community for how much they've bought into this and been there for us, celebrated with us. And then lastly, thanking Coach Slager for coming here, believing in us, and turning this program around.
Ethan Bishop, final take.
I mean, especially Coach Slager. Yeah, he's seen something in us from going to win a conference championship with Rushville and going to us, who's won one game in 2 years, coming and helping us rebuild and helping us win.
Get you excited for next year?
Absolutely.
And this week, I shouldn't jump ahead, right?
Yep.
Senior, Austin Adams, final take.
I just want to thank my mom. She's done almost everything for me. She's helped me in so many ways that I can't even pay her back for all that. But and then I want to thank my teammates for helping me get here in my senior year. I've never been here before, so I just want to thank those guys, and I want to thank the coaches too for believing in me and helping me get to where I'm at.
Well, and I want to thank you guys for taking the time to be on here before I get to coach. You guys got a lot to be proud of, and I wish you guys best of luck. Again, you're going to be home 7 o'clock against Lawrenceburg, so I wish you guys best of luck Friday, and go get a win so we can get you back on here and we can have a regional show.
Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, did you guys get McDonald's after our last show? Did McDonald's listen to overtime?
They did not. Backover probably would have made sure to take all that from everything.
Yeah, we'll throw that back out there. McDonald's, if you're listening, or if somebody has a connection to McDonald's, Greensburg would not be upset if a pregame meal made it into their locker room. So if you're listening, Mickey D's, make that happen. All right, Coach, as we wind down your segment here, final take.
You know, I think the first part that I kind of want to tail back to a little bit, you know, from the leadership standpoint, you know, we've preached from the beginning to each of these guys, you know, in individual meetings, you know, number one, where they were in the past. Number two, where do they want to be from a leadership standpoint? You know, and when you look at all 50 of our kids on our roster, every kid's going to lead differently. You know, I kind of use the phrase, I don't like to put leadership in a box. You know, each of these guys are going to have a different leadership style. Some of these guys are a lot more vocal. Some of these guys put on the hard hat and go to work. But regardless, each of these guys pull somebody differently that one may not ever have that type of relationship with or never may be able to pull that another one could. And I think the magnitude behind that, as we've progressed, has started to obviously unfold a little bit more. You see guys that are a lot closer and have built better relationships and can kind of hone in some guys. And then you also have some moments where guys feed off of one another. Again, going back to that emotional piece. I think each of these guys have done a great job of kind of understanding what we've tried to press forward with from a buy-in standpoint and understand, number one, when I've got to press them a little bit more to set a standard, and then number two, when they've got to go act on that after the fact. So from my appreciation standpoint, I appreciate these guys a lot, and from just being able to take the necessary steps for where we've got to get to as a program. As I've continued to say, we're not anywhere near where we need to be, and nor will we be. But obviously, the buy-in is now clicked. We've obviously progressed drastically. And I think for these guys, the next piece, obviously, not just these guys, but our program as a whole, we're very grateful for our community. These guys hinted a lot at it. You know, I had heard a lot of things when I had come down here in regards to, you know, regardless of what had happened over the last few years, this community still continued to show out, support our kids, and it was 100% true. And if you've looked up week after week after week, it's continued to just grow in size. And then obviously you look at 4 out of the last 5 weeks, out of the last 5 weeks, you know, what everything looks like despite weather, despite everything else. So from my standpoint, I know from our standpoint, we're extremely grateful for what our communities continue to do with the little things like what Winchester was saying with, you know, painting the cars, whether it's the goodie bags for the kids, whether it's just the buzz in the hallways is different this year, you know, where you've got kids supporting each other. You've got teachers that are continuously supporting and caring about these kids, and administration that cares about these kids, and it just bleeds with one another. I've always viewed football as the flagship of the school, and what I mean by that is how we operate, we lead by example. And generally, if we're getting things rolling in the right direction off the field and on the field, there's a different vibe in the hallways that generally bleeds into other sports, bleeds into other activities, and I think these guys have done a great job setting that standard with that, and I appreciate that again from them for just setting that benchmark. Obviously, you know, we've got Friday for, like I said, the first time in several years that we've had an opportunity to go play for a sectional championship. It's one of these things that none of our kids know what that's like. We've obviously gone through the prep work and understand the magnitude behind it, and it's up to us to be able to respond appropriately, start fast, and just go show that we've continued to build this thing over the last 8 weeks from where we were week 4. And just be able to start out fast and go take a swing at it. You know, we're in a situation where, like what you had said earlier, we're the hot team right now. You know, there's no pressure in that regard on our end. We've just got to continue to execute like what we have been, stay the course, and let's go take a swing. Yeah, and not that you guys need my motivation, but
I was always told those with nothing to lose are the most dangerous.
Yep.
And I think that puts you guys right there where you need to be. Lawrenceburg as a program has everything to lose. They've been on top of their game for as long as I can remember, right? So you guys are the hot team. You really got nothing to lose and everything to gain, and that makes you the most dangerous. So, again, good luck. That's Lawrenceburg at Greensburg, 7 p.m. Friday night. Junior Ashton Winchester, Junior Logan Ortman, Junior Ethan Bishop, Senior Austin Adams. Thank you for joining us here on Overtime.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
And I mean this. I'd love to have you guys back for a regional show. Coach Isaac Sliger, head coach, Greensburg football. Thanks for joining us again. Always appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week, same time, 6 p.m. Check social media, and you'll know who's going to be on and what's going on. I'm your host, Nick Messer, and this has been Overtime.